Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Vitruvian Physique. Thank you for stopping by. Today I wanted to do a very important question. This is on a topic that I get asked so many times, and it's something which I have kind of avoided in the past, but I think it's very important that I answer this because, I think it's going to help a lot of people. So this is on the topic of weight loss, or obviously fat loss tips, like tips and tricks. And the reason I avoided this in the past is because I almost don't like the idea of giving out tips because some people may equate that in level of significance or importance to proper diet and exercise, which is not the case. Guys, if you think that there's tips or tricks, and I'm gonna give them out in this video and it's gonna help you get shredded, turn off this video now because everything I'm gonna say in this video is gonna help in conjunction with proper diet via calories, macronutrients, proper exercise, whether that be cardiovascular and or strength training. You need to understand that before you could even consider anything I mentioned in this video, even though some of the stuff in this video is going to be, in relation to that. A lot of the tips here is going to be psychological stuff, it's going to be physical stuff, it's going to be just things that could help you a little bit, but it's just like bonuses. The bread and butter of a weight loss routine is exercise, macros, cardio, nutrition, all that good stuff. Either way, so I wanted to do this video because I always talk about a lot of quantitative stuff. There's always calculations, there's macros, there's calories, but let's get into a little bit more, applicative, is that a word? Application based. How could you actually do these things? And, can you do like a diet? Is there anything that you can do to make it easier? So the reason I'm doing this video and how I got this idea sparked in my head is I actually got an email via my website, and it says the subject is weight loss and cravings. And the message is, "Hi Igor, my name is blank." Obviously for privacy reasons, I'm not going to give this person's name out. I don't know if they would want to, but either way. I am 14 and I weigh 250 pounds, which I know is a pretty young age to be at this weight. But I just wanted to know, what do you do when you have cravings and how to get back on track with your cut? Thank you. No, thank you for asking this question. And before I get, into this, which I will, I want to say thank you so much for asking that, and thank you so much for taking the time to reach out to me and just start trying to look for information and research in general to improve your life. You mentioned that, obviously you're at a somewhat large weight for your age, and that is true. But it is so good that at a young age, 14 is so young, that you're taking, positive steps, and you're taking physical action to improve your life. Small steps, baby steps, but it doesn't matter. You're starting to reach out, whether it to be, through my channel, through other people's channels, books, articles, whatever it may be. The fact that you are taking action is fantastic. You deserve respect, regardless of whether you're like jacked, you have a six-pack, whether you're like, morbidly obese, whether you're kind of overweight. If you are taking steps to improve your life, I respect you. And again, thank you so much for asking this question. But that is what, I want to talk about. And so here is Vitruvian Physique's 19 tips for fat loss. Psychological, quantitative, physical, absolutely everything. There's a whole jumble of stuff. So let's get started. Diet tip number one, guys, take it slow and steady. A lot of times I have people messaging me and they're kind of unsure as to how much weight they want to lose, and they have kind of unrealistic expectations. A friend of mine, he messaged me and he's like, I'm having concerns, I may want to lose weight a little bit faster, I'm kind of impatient almost. And I asked him, okay, how much weight did you lose, this week as opposed to last week? Pretty much week to week, how much weight are you losing? And the guy, he's about 185 pounds, a 5'9" man, so regular size. He said he lost 2.3 pounds. And I'm looking at him and I'm like, what's the problem? Why would you want to fix something if it's not broken? In fact, it's running at 100 horsepower. His diet is going great. Guys, again, an ideal rate of fat loss in the beginning of your cut, obviously it slows down a little bit, is 0.5 to 1.0% of your body weight for a 200-pound man. That equates anywhere to 1 to 2 pounds. So don't have these unrealistic expectations of you dropping 3 pounds in a week and you're a 100-pound female. That's just not going to happen. Take things slow. There's multiple reasons. Number one, it's much more realistic. Number two, you're going to preserve more muscle. If you have a very high caloric deficit and you lose weight very fast, your body is a lot more prone to burning up muscle, and the whole point is we're trying to preserve as much muscle as possible. And this is for everyone, whether you're a bodybuilder, a physique competitor, a regular person. I think everybody who's watching this video right now would probably like to keep as much muscle as possible and lose some fat. And also, guys, take things slow in the sense of when you do get into a caloric deficit, don't immediately jump into here's my maintenance, and I'm gonna do like down here, like off camera, like 700 calorie, caloric deficit, because you are going to need room later to actually make adjustments. So if you start off with too much of a deficit, you're pretty much bottomed out. You have nowhere left to go. That's why with my online coaching and my clients, the highest deficit I have ever gone for any of my clients to date so far was 350 caloric deficit on top of 200 calories of cardio, which equates to like 500 combined maximum. I have never jumped into like 700 calories or anything, because weight loss, it's not just like this, just like a straight line. It's kind of like you go down, then you plateau. You make adjustments. Oh, then you start again, and then you plateau. And this weight loss period, it could be weeks, but eventually you're always going to run into plateaus. It's unfortunate, and at that point you have your choice of stopping, or if you want to get even more leaner, you're gonna have to make adjustments, whether that be carbohydrate, fat reductions, additional cardio. There's a variety of things you can do. But if you start yourself so low, you have nothing left to adjust because you're already like starving. So that's why I say, take it easy, make adjustments every couple of weeks. Don't just immediately throw yourself into a crazy caloric deficit. Number 2, prioritize carbohydrates. A lot of people always ask, they say, what should I drop, carbs or fat? If you keep your fat high and your carbs low, if you take it super low, you're actually in a ketogenic state. Or they say, should I keep my carbs, I don't want to say high, but like medium-ish, and drop my fat low, like almost down to the minimum. And there's a lot of confusion, and a lot of people I have heard saying that higher fat, low carb is a little bit better. There's this whole thing about like, carbohydrates will spike your insulin, and then that like causes additional fat gain. But it's kind of controversial. There's actually an article, there was actually a video, it was a great presentation done, which kind of debunked that whole notion of thought that like low carb diets will work better for you than low fat diets. This debunking video, which was a whole scientific experiment, a whole scientific research article, it pretty much said that it doesn't necessarily matter as long as your total calories are down, whether that deficit is coming from carbohydrates or fat. It's not exactly a huge deal. Obviously there are, every individual is different. I have clients who I have like lowered their fat drastically. I have clients where I've lowered it, but not too much. I want to give them like, for some of them it's 25% of their caloric intake. For others, it's like below 20% of their caloric intake. So every individual is different, but my goal is always with my diet and with a lot of my clients, is to prioritize carbohydrates. I like to do this because your carbs can be used for energy. So when you're in the gym, your carbohydrates are what provide you with energy for maximum performance. You want to keep on lifting hard, lifting intense, and lose, minimize the strength, the decrease that you're going to have. And I think that if you maximize your carbohydrate intake, maximum, I don't mean like go up to 500, but if you're going to decrease it by the smallest possible amount that you have to in order to still lose weight. I'll do it. I'll get myself or my clients or whoever it is, I advocate do it until you are losing weight, but don't slash them completely, because you're going to feel like crap and because you're going to have a lot of cravings. Guys, we're always craving carbohydrates. I don't know about you, but me, when I'm dieting, I don't really crave protein because I'm eating enough protein as it is. I never really crave fat. I'm never like, ooh, I can go for some cheese or like a burger or something. I always want like sweet things, pastries, cookies, maybe like pasta and rice, carby, savory things. So, if you maximize the amount of carbohydrates that you allow your body to have, in my opinion, is going to make dieting a little bit easier, both in terms of performance and in terms of giving into cravings, in the sense that you won't, because you have, decent being the keyword, amount of carbohydrates. Number 3 is lower glycemic index carbohydrates. Like I said, if we're going to be consuming carbs, what kind of carbs should you take? Obviously, according to If It Fits Your Macros and flexible dieting, this doesn't necessarily matter, and that's true. At the end of the day, for the most part, a carb is a carb, whether it be from fruits or oatmeal or Coca-Cola, but different carbohydrates are going to give you a different, almost like a feeling. They're going to be metabolized differently by your body, and you're going to have a different insulin response. I'm not going to get into too much of like, how insulin works and the whole mechanism behind it, and like, sugar crashes and sugar rushes, as some people call it, and like pancreatic islet cells, whatever cells are the ones that actually secrete insulin. But there is this whole notion that if you have high glycemic index, so like simple sugars, lots of processed sugars, candy, like white bread, maybe white rice, all that bullshit, you're gonna have a lot of these sugar rushes and spikes, so your insulin like goes up and then it comes right back down very quickly. And in doing this, you're gonna be full for like like an hour or something. So it's a lot easier for your body to like, become very hungry even though you consumed a lot of carbohydrates if they are high glycemic carbohydrates versus the opposite. Low glycemic index carbohydrates are usually, you can tell which ones are which because the low GI index ones, they usually taste like bird food and cardboard mixed together. We're talking whole grains, we're talking brown rice, a lot of stuff that may not taste that great, but the good thing about it is that you have a very timed release of energy, which means that you're not going to be as hungry as fast as the alternative. A great example of this is something that I actually experienced myself. So it's not just, scientific jibber jabber, like I actually applied this. I would always get teriyaki and it was always just chicken, vegetables, some sauce, and a lot of white rice. And I ate it every day and it was great. It's like clean food. It's like chicken breast and carbs and whatever. And one day I decided, hey, I'm gonna give brown rice a try because I always hear brown rice is so good. Two things I noticed. Number one, it tastes like cardboard. Yeah, it tastes like crap. But number two is that I was very full, very fast, and I didn't feel hungry again for a long time. A lot longer than I usually do with my regular, white rice. In fact, I only finished half the bowl, even though I was dieting and my metabolism is so high. I was like, no, I'm good. And hours later, I'd go to the gym and my workout was fine, just as good as normal. And like I was okay. I wasn't starving. I wasn't craving anything additional, even though I only finished half a bowl's worth of brown rice because of that timed release, that slow timed release. That's the whole complex carbohydrates name, that's where it comes from. It's a little bit longer for your body to metabolize those carbohydrates. So in a sense, you're not gonna get that sugar rush and it's a little bit easier for you to feel full. Okay, the next couple ones have to do with cravings, and this is specifically for that individual because they asked about cravings, so these next ones are for you. Number 4 is increase your protein intake. So a lot of bodybuilders and fitness athletes are already eating high protein, but for those of you who are watching this who may not be interested in physical development, which is completely okay, you're just a regular person hoping to decrease, body fat, look good for the beach, just be a little bit healthier, get back to a size you were when you were, in your teens or 20s if you're an older individual. A lot of you guys may not be prioritizing protein because you feel there's no need. You're not trying to get like, a 500-pound squat or like be 200 pounds of shredded muscle. So you may be eating like 30 to 40 grams of protein, which I think is like the recommended daily intake, something like that. But I'm saying maybe eat a little bit more because protein, number one, it's very, very satiating, which means that you can feel a lot fuller on protein than you can, I guess, other stuff, especially all that high, glycemic index, like sugar rush carb crap. And number 2, it's very, very, very difficult for your body to convert protein into fat. Number 5, food volume. This is very important, and this is a very simplistic way of looking at it. A lot of times we look at carbohydrates, calories, numbers, what's actually in the food on a biological level, but on the biomechanical, I mixed those two up. On the biomechanical sense, food volume comes into play as well. Because I've talked about this in the past, so I'm not going to go into too much detail, but your stomach can sense how hungry you are based on 2 things. Number 1 is what actual macros and calories are in it. Obviously, how much food do you take in on a daily basis. And number 2 is the actual physical stretch of the stomach. So if you consume food which may be low in calories, it's very low in caloric density, that's one way I like to call it, but very high in volume. So like lettuce and like vegetables are really good for this because have you ever seen like a salad? It's like this big, but it's like there's like 50 calories to it. Did I just ask you guys if you've ever seen a salad? But that's one really good way of doing it. That's why a lot of the guys on YouTube right now in the fitness industry are having like these big bowls of salad and lettuce, and it's like this new like fad that's come along, even though it's always been around. I guess it's just become popular because a lot of food, just in terms of volume and mass, is going to trick your body into feeling full because that's where the term actually comes from. Like you actually physically are full on food volume, not necessarily food calories. That's why my girlfriend, for example, she told me when she was dieting, all she ate was like baby carrots because, again, not that calorically dense. That's why junk food is the exact opposite. Have you ever seen a Big Mac? Why do I keep asking you guys if you've ever seen stuff? I really think you have. So a Big Mac is like that big, and I know if I have a low appetite, I could easily eat like 3 in one sitting, but it's like 550 calories. It is the opposite. It's very calorically dense. A lot of this because of fat. Obviously, fat is the highest caloric density macronutrient. There's 4 calories in protein, 4 calories in carbohydrates, and 9 calories in fat. So it's very, very easy to get a lot of calories from not a lot of physical volume and mass when it comes to high fat foods. Number 7 is coffee and green tea. This is very good because coffee, green tea, even just caffeine in general is a natural appetite suppressant. This is why a lot of people use it in conjunction with number 8 on my list, or I lost track, intermittent fasting. So these two kind of work together. Intermittent fasting is just, it's a great tool from a convenience standpoint. A lot of people, I feel, they wake up and they're not really that hungry. I'm like one of those people. I actually have to force breakfast into myself. I just don't really want to. So what's the point if you're on a cut and you're trying to minimize the amount of calories, carbohydrates, macronutrients that you are taking in? You should only be eating when you really are hungry. So if you wake up and you're not hungry for a couple hours, why would you force yourself essentially, to eat breakfast when you could go to work, go to school, spend a couple hours doing, you got some courses, you got some, emails, like, you keep busy, you don't even notice it, you're just not hungry, and then my first meal is like lunch, usually around 12 to 1. This makes things a lot easier because you have less just, physical time throughout the day to consume all of those calories, so it's very easy for you to eat like, I have like 2, maybe 3 meals throughout the entire day. So think of it, if an individual is trying to diet on 2,100 calories, which is pretty low for a guy my size. Not that that's what I'm doing, but an example. And if he eats 3 meals a day because of intermittent fasting, maybe lunch, dinner, and then a late night snack, that's like 700 calories per meal. That's pretty damn good. Like, you can feel pretty, pretty full. But this isn't for everyone. Some people, they really just can't do it. And some people, they can like kind of acclimate to it. My girlfriend's an example of this. She actually hated it in the begening. 2 to 3 weeks in, she's like, you know what? It's actually starting to feel really well. She used to like, she'd wake up and she's like, I'm starving, oh my God. She would need to keep like food at the side of the bed, like wake up and like, boy, that looks terrible. But she's gonna hate me for this. But after time, she acclimated to it, and now she's like, yeah, like lunchtime rolls around and that's my first meal of the day. And there's some people who just can't do it. It's very difficult. And I've talked about this before, and guys, I promise it is coming. I'm gonna do a full video on intermittent fasting, but the one thing I want to advocate is that it's a beneficial tool. It could help some people. I do it, not all the time, but I do use it. And for some people, it's not gonna help them because they need food right away, or because of their schedule. If you work 9 to 5, it's different as someone who works nights versus someone who works like afternoons or whatever. Every individual is a little bit different, but like I said, caffeine in conjunction with intermittent fasting can definitely be a little bit helpful for cravings. Number 8 is kind of a negative aspect, the dangers of too much cardio. So cardio is great because cardio serves as negative calories, and obviously we are trying to get into a caloric deficit, so it can definitely help, especially on days when you kind of, you may cheat a little bit, you may go over your macros or your calories by like 200 to 300 calories. So, go for a jog or something, bring it back down, suddenly everything is okay. The problem with this is, especially for individuals who, maybe they do cardio like in the middle of the day or in the morning, you may burn an additional 200 to 300 calories, but some people, because of that additional activity, their metabolism just kicks it up a notch. And you may burn 200 to 300 calories, but in turn, you are so hungry that you end up later in the day consuming like 500 to 600 calories. So in fact, this is actually one of my tips for bulking. People used to ask me, they said like, oh, I don't have an appetite, I just can't eat. And I said, you know what, if you're trying to bulk, consider doing a little bit of cardio. And they're like, what are you talking about? Isn't that like counterintuitive? And I said, theoretically, yes, but not necessarily. If you go and you do some like, some cardio and it's, bumps up your metabolism to the point where you're so hungry that even though you burn 200 calories, you go and you just eat like 600 calories of great clean food, that's great for your bulk. So that's why, cardio is great, but for those individuals who are super sensitive and they're starving after they do like a decent amount of cardio, for them, maybe they want to limit it a little bit, so they shouldn't be doing cardio like every single day. For them, maybe like 2 to 3 times a week should be sufficient. Number 9, this is the reason that I have found my cut this year to be way easier than all previous years. Simply stay busy. This is kind of more of a psychological thing. This isn't something that you can calculate or, I can't quantify this, but when you are busy, your body you don't even realize you're hungry. Like sometimes on the weekend I wake up and I have so many videos to edit and like clients to answer and so much things to do that I'd be like, oh crap, it's 2 o'clock and I haven't eaten today. And not that great for a bulk, but for a cut, you can't beat it. Guys, humans, when we're not busy with something else, there's only 2 things on our mind. There's only 2 things that we as humans want to do. Fucking and eating. Excuse my language, it's true. Guys, let's be honest. If we're not thinking about sex on our mind, we're thinking about food. That can be kind of problematic because You know, if you're doing nothing at home, you may end up just going to the fridge all the time. How many times have you heard people say like, oh yeah, I eat when I'm bored? Don't let yourself be bored. Number 10 is drink water. That's it. Your body needs water. It needs to stay hydrated. And also, again, more water, more physical stretching of the stomach. You trick your body into feeling full, just like the whole concept of vegetables and high volume, low caloric density foods. What's lower in caloric density than water, aka 0 calories? Number 11 this is another psychological one. This is something that I myself really like to do when I'm having cravings. I call it eat clean before cheating. So let's say that you have a crazy craving. You're just like, you know what? I want like McDonald's or something. You're like, I just want a Big Mac. I saw a commercial on TV. It's been on my mind. I cannot get it out of my head. And you're going crazy, and you fear that you step outside, you're gonna walk by McDonald's, you're gonna do it, you're gonna go, you're gonna peg out, your whole day's ruined. Here's a little tip that I do for myself when I'm having these cravings. I tell myself, you know what, Igor? Okay, go get the McDonald's. But you can only get it 1 to 2 hours from now, and right now, before your cheat meal of whatever you want, you have to eat one legit meal of clean food. Just go ahead. And then afterwards, if you still feel hungry, go do it. What's gonna happen? Chances are you're gonna go eat that meal of like, regular food, vegetables, chicken, steak, lean meats, quality carbohydrates, sweet potatoes, oats, rice, white or brown, whatever. And you're gonna feel full, and you're not gonna wanna cheat later because it turns out you weren't actually craving that specific food, you were just craving food in general. The point is they're low in caloric density. Trust me, go get like a plate of chicken breast, vegetables, and rice. The whole thing is going to be great for your protein intake, it's going to be great for your overall health, and it's going to be like 300-400 calories versus a Big Mac, fries, Coke is going to be like 1,000 calories. You're going to feel like crap, you're going to mess up your macros, and why? You didn't even really want it. You just wanted food in general. So if you're craving, junk food, be like, okay, I'll give it to you, but first you got to eat clean food. Chances are you're not going to want that other crap afterwards anyway. Number 12 is incorporate refeeds. So if you are, maybe like a month to 3 months in your diet, so you've been doing this for a while, this isn't like your first week or something, yeah, you could consider refeeds. But when I say refeeds, I don't mean go crazy and go nuts. I mean have a calculated increase in carbohydrates. I like to usually go up to 150% of my current dieting carbohydrate intake. So if I'm eating 200 carbs, for one day, go up to 300 carbs. That way, you still have like a fun day, but it's not going crazy. It's not like a cheat day or something. You're not going insane. This is okay. Your weight's gonna bump up for a day, but that's not due to fat. You can't gain fat that fast. That's just due to increased carbs, which increases your glycogen, increases your water retention. It's just water weight. It's gonna go up and it'll come back down a couple days. Don't worry about it. This is gonna help just with, psychological aspect. You wanna have something to look forward to. If you're just existing in a persistent, system of dieting, you're gonna go crazy, and every day you want to look forward to something. So if you have one day during the week, maybe you put it on like your heavy leg day or your heavy back day, or usually people put it on a day when they have higher exercise volume. They don't put it on rest days. That doesn't really make sense. So that way you have something to look forward to. That way if you're doing a refeed on Saturday and it's Thursday and you want to cheat, be like, you know what, Igor, 2 more days, then you can have like a fun day where you can. It's not cheating, it's calculated refeed. They're different. Number 13, limit your fuck-ups. So a lot of times, guys, when you mess up, and we all do it, we all have it, you gave into your cravings and you ate like something, and congratulations, now you're over your macros, you're over your calories. Maybe you're trying to eat 2,000 and you ate 2,500, once you eat all the other meals throughout your day. Lots of times we want to say, you know what, that's it. This day is over, I screwed up, why not just screw it? Like, I messed up my lunch, mess up my dinner, mess up my supper, just have fun with it. I don't advocate that, guys. This is a very easy way to turn a 3 out of 10 problem into a 10 out of 10 problem. Lots of times if you mess up a little bit, don't worry about it. Maybe you're not losing fat today, but you went up to like what, maintenance? That's fine. Just, you can consider it like a junior little refeed. Don't worry about it. Get back on the horse, tomorrow, get back on the horse today once you're done your little mess up meal, and it's okay. The worst thing is when people like mess up by 500 calories and then they see that as justification that they could mess up by 5,000 calories and they just pig out and they wake up tomorrow and they weigh like 6 pounds heavier because they had like 100 grams of fat. Number 15. This is another psychological one. Guys, I'm sorry this video is so long, but I hope that you can learn a thing or two from this. So, number 15 is stay motivated by thinking long term. And this pertains to 2 things individually. So, number 1 is don't look at social media too much. Social media is not the best thing when it comes to motivation. Yeah, sometimes people see like shredded guys, they see like Jeff's side, they're like, oh shit, I want to look like that, and that's completely okay. If you use that as a positive source of motivation, great, more power to you. But a lot of times, especially women, they may see like these like stick thin models or something, or like these ridiculous girls, and they're like, you know what, this is ridiculous. She makes it look so easy, I can't get to that. I'm never gonna look like that even if I wanted to, because of my body structure, because of my genetics. And it's kind of demotivating. That's why I say, be careful with social media. Plus, there's a lot of bullshit that goes around there. There's this whole thing with, you know, asshole Devin Physique and his like, his photoshopping and the whole shreds, scams, crap. Social media represents like 0.00001% of the general population. Most people, they're not like that. That's why on my channel, I like to show you guys absolutely everything. I like to show you guys how gradual this is, how at times this isn't the easiest process. That's why, another thing, on social media, so many guys, because they're trying to sell you a product or sell you a service, they're gonna make it seem like it's, oh my God, it's so easy. I got down to 8% body fat, like it's so effortless and it's just no problem. And if you use my special supplement or my program or my whatever, it's gonna be easy for you too. No guys, that's not true. Like, a lot of people have different quality products. Some stuff works, some stuff doesn't, but at the end of the day, no matter what it is, it still requires hard work. I mean, yeah, maybe there are some tips like in this video which can make it a little bit easier, but nothing is gonna make fat just drop off and you wake up at 8% body fat in like 1 month and you're like, oh my God, I didn't even realize that was happening. I don't like that. It's not necessarily lying, but I think it's a little bit deceitful. I want you guys to understand that this can be difficult at times. It's not all puppies and sunshine. Sometimes it fucking sucks. But it's 100% real. You can do it if you set your mind to it. Just like that person who asked me that question, you can do it. I believe in you. I believe in myself, but you and me, we're gonna have to bust our ass, but we can do it. And the second thing I wanna mention with regards to psychological, staying motivated in the long term is don't look at this as like a quick term thing. That's why I don't like these whole like 30-day transformation photos where they've got like shredded, because lots of times that's bullshit, or maybe they starve themselves, guys. This is a long-term process. My contest prep this year is 21 weeks. Give it time. That way you can not kill yourself. You don't have to go into a crazy caloric deficit. You retain maximum muscle and you don't turn this into torture. Give it time, slow and steady. It's that whole story with like the turtle and the rabbit, and we all know who wins. So number 16, don't buy into bullshit supplements and superfoods. So this pertains to stuff like fat burners or like miracle cures or like, all this weird stuff. It's come on, guys. Like at the end of the day, only diet and exercise is gonna work. All this like miracle stuff, if it's too good to be true, which it is, then it probably is not true, which it is not. And there's all that superfood crap that like Dr. Oz is always peddling on his show, like, hey guys, the 6 secret foods to getting a six-pack in 12.5 seconds. Just follow my thing and buy my magazines, and like, fuck that guy. Some of the crazy examples I've heard, I cannot believe this was, number one, chili powder. So like some people would put this stuff on all their food. I think it's the whole assumption that like spicy food burns, so it must burn fat, right? Yeah, no, that's not exactly how it works. And by exactly, I mean not at all. Lemon water, this is the dumbest thing that I have ever heard in my life. And the really sad thing is that this came from an actual prep coach, like a legit nutrition, macronutrient coach, or at least he calls himself one, because this is freaking stupid. So I had a friend and they had a coach, they wanted to compete in a couple months, and I was considering starting my own coaching services, which is obviously something that I launched last month. And I was interested, like I want to see, just, give me an example. I just wanted to, I'm interested in learning. And they showed me an example of their plan, and it didn't focus on the things that it should, like macronutrients, carbohydrates, calories, like actual quantitative, dieting and training. It said, make sure that you put lemon in all of your water, because lemon juice has enzymes which will pre-digest your food in your mouth when you drink it, thus decreasing the total calories of the food that you consume. And I'm like, oh, okay. So he's pretty much saying that he doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. That's the dumbest thing I ever heard. Even if that is the case, it's not gonna decrease the actual net calories that your body is intaking. And if you're actually having to rely on like lemon juice to pre-digest the food for you, how lazy are you? Yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that. Number 17 is fiber. It's good for you in terms of your gastrointestinal health, and it's also good because it doesn't actually count as legit calories. Each gram of fiber, I think if you do the math, comes out to about 2 net calories, because your body can't digest fiber the same way would other carbohydrates. So even though, for example, Quest bars, they have like 20 grams of carbs, but because a lot of that is fiber, the actual net calories is a little bit lower. So instead of 200, it's like 130 or something. So it's almost like invisible free net calories, so it's good. Plus there's the whole health aspect of it. So definitely try to get your fiber intake. I believe for men it's like mid 30s, and for women it's like mid 20s in terms of grams per day. Number 18 is do not worry about sodium and water intake. This is something that doesn't pertain to you unless you are either a bodybuilder who is very serious and in his final week, otherwise known as the peak week, and or if you're like an adult who has like issues with hypertension, you're trying to lower your sodium, that's just health purposes. That's it. Nobody else, don't worry about it. As long as you're in a reasonably normal level, so anywhere from like 2,000 to 4,000 or something, I think you're okay. I had a guy talk to me and he was like, oh, I'm only getting about 600 to 900 grams of sodium. Is that okay? And I'm like, nope, that's not good. The recommended daily intake for an average man is like 2,300. So this guy was like almost a quarter of that. That's not necessarily the best case. I think he was trying to decrease his sodium because less sodium, less water. You know, I don't want to be holding water because it's going to make me look fat. Again, guys, no, that's not how it works. Your sodium in your water, unlike fat, it fluctuates legit day to day. So don't worry about it. If you ever want to, you know, lose water weight or something, you theoretically could do it in like one day, but why would you ever want to do that? Don't mess with that stuff. That's not required for 99.99% of the people who watch this video. And number 19, the final tip for dieting for people who are having troubles with this is get help. You do not have to do this alone. Whether this be online, like you have to go and do research and, you know, try to talk to other people, like the people who message me, that's a good start. You know, go on YouTube. YouTube is awesome. So many people are teaching you and you can learn so much. Don't do it alone in terms of psychological support. For example, do it with a friend, do it with a family member. If you and a friend are both interested in losing weight, be like, you know what, let's do it. I have a client actually who's doing a competition with his friend. They're both trying to see how much weight they can lose and who can get a six-pack in 12 weeks. And I'm like, that's awesome because you're gonna be like a rivalry. You're gonna do it together. And you know, you're not gonna wanna eat out if your friend is sitting over there eating like, you know, according to his macros and calories and eating like good food, and you're sitting here eating a Big Mac and you're like, crap, he's not doing that. I can't do this either. So, you know, do it with a friend, whether it be a rivalry or whether it be like a mutual support system, or, you know, get a coach or a personal trainer, get someone to help you if, you know, you are that serious and you can spend the money, whether it be me, whether it be anybody. I'm not sitting here being like, I'm the best, buy my shit. No, it's not the case. I'm just saying, guys, you don't have to do it alone. It's very difficult. For example, there's that, you know, that show, The Biggest Loser? There's this whole thing because a lot of people lost a lot of weight when they had this whole support system. There was all the other contestants on the show. There was like all these coaches. There's so much help. And then they came out of the show, they went back to real world and they gained all their weight back, or they just stopped losing weight in general because, you know, welcome to the real world. You're back to being alone. So, you know, it's hard, guys. It's really hard. You know, not all of us are blessed with like the best genetics or the best upbringings, you know, in terms of like installing like really good healthy food habits. Like I was fortunate in that sense. My parents only let me eat like fruit and, you know, natural Russian high protein grains and stuff when I was a kid. So I'm lucky in that sense, but a lot of other people, that may not be the case because of their genetics or because they were raised to, you know, maybe unfortunately the parents weren't as knowledgeable about proper diet and exercise, so the kids got those negative habits as well. So everybody's different. So if you need help, don't worry about it, seek it out, don't stop, whether it be online, whether it be with your friends, your family, whether it be like at the gym, just keep trying. You're not in this alone. And you know, if no one's gonna help you, I'll help you. So that's it, guys. I apologize if this video went for, you know, for a long time, but 19 tips is it's a lot. So I think 30 minutes, 19 tips, that's like a minute and a half each. You know, it's not bad considering I ramble on I could talk for 10 minutes about each one of these. Either way, thank you guys so much for watching. If you are having troubles, you know, with losing weight, you are not alone. Take your time, apply what you've seen in this video, apply what you have seen in my videos and other people's videos. You know, don't compare yourself to all this crap on social media. That's not real people. That's like, you know, invisible people who live in your phone. They're not real, don't worry about it. So try your best. You know, you're not in competition with anyone unless you're competing, in which case you are, yeah. But for the rest of you, don't give up. You're not in this alone. Good luck. I believe in you. I'll see you guys in my next video.